March 22, 2025, officers were dispatched to a restaurant after receiving a serious report that a woman wanted for money laundering and the theft of several $1,000,000 from a law firm had finally been located. What officers didn't know was that the person who made the call that day was her own boss. After months of searching for the employee, who had allegedly stolen millions from his company, he unexpectedly spotted her dining at an upscale restaurant and immediately contacted police. In this body cam footage, you'll see exactly how officers tracked down, confronted, and exposed one of Florida's most prolific fraudsters. What stands out to me isn't the arrest itself, it's how little of this encounter was actually decided in the restaurant. By the time officers made contact, the important decisions had already happened somewhere else, during months of financial investigation, document review, and ultimately, the issuance of an arrest warrant. That's the hidden story running through this entire case. The arrest feels like the beginning, but it's really the final step of a process that had been quietly moving forward long before anyone saw body camera footage. The first detail I'd pay attention to is the suspect's response when asked whether she knew why officers were there. Before anyone explained the warrant, she immediately connected the contact to money she had taken. That doesn't prove the case by itself, but it tells you where her own mind went first. People under pressure often answer the question they expect rather than the one they're actually asked. That reaction suggests she already understood there was unresolved conduct in her past, while the officers were focused on something much narrower, confirming identity and executing a court-approved warrant. Because of that, the officers' priorities make much more sense. Their problem wasn't proving theft or debating the allegations in a parking lot. It was controlling the encounter safely, verifying they had the right person, and preserving a calm environment. That's why you hear practical questions about identification, personal belongings, weapons, and transportation instead of accusations. Once legal authority already exists, the conversation becomes about safely carrying out the process, not winning an argument. One detail that's easy to overlook is how cooperation changes the entire tone without changing the outcome. Renee asks questions, requests her belongings, and tries to understand what comes next, but she doesn't physically resist. In return, the officers explain procedures, accommodate reasonable requests, and even adjust her handcuffs when she says they're uncomfortable. Some viewers mistake that professionalism for sympathy. I see something different. Calm behavior from both sides reduces unnecessary risk, while allowing officers to maintain complete control of the situation. This is also where the evidence chain becomes easier to understand. The boss's phone call didn't suddenly create a criminal case. It simply answered one remaining question: where the suspect could be found. The investigation had already progressed from suspicion to documented evidence, then to probable cause, and finally to a warrant approved by a judge. Finding her at the restaurant wasn't the breakthrough. It was the last missing piece needed to enforce decisions that had already been made through the investigative process. Notice what happens once the charges and no bond status are confirmed. Her questions shift away from why she's being detained and toward what happens after court. That's the quiet turning point most viewers miss. The reality of the legal process replaces uncertainty. From that moment forward, neither the suspect nor the arresting officer controls the next step. The court does. The broader lesson isn't simply that financial crimes carry serious consequences. It's that complex investigations often become difficult to reverse long before an arrest occurs. By the time officers arrive, they're frequently acting on months of evidence that the public never sees. This case is a good reminder that body camera footage captures the visible ending of an investigation, not the invisible work that made that ending increasingly inevitable. Drop your perspective in the comments below. If you enjoy real police body cam footage and the stories behind the evidence, subscribe to True Law and Crime, turn on notifications, and we'll see you in the next body cam video.